All right. Today I'm on the show with Sina Meier, and she's the managing director of 21Shares and the head of Switzerland. And I'm super excited to talk to you today, Sina, and dive a little bit more into your story, the story of the company, talk a little bit about the industry, well, basically all things digital business. So, Sina, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Daniel. Super pleasure to be with you today. And I'm super curious also which kind of questions you will ask me because I have no idea. Heard anything. Spontaneous, let's do it.
Perfect. Great. All right. So let's dive right in. First question that I have to you is, if you had to sum up your essence in one word, what would that word be and why?
My creature, myself, you mean?
Yes, basically you as the essence of you, as the essence of Sina. What would that word be that best describes you?
I would be. We have in Switzerland or in Germany we have this word kind of surprise, Wundertüte. This kind of where you never know really what you get. I think I would describe myself in this because I have so many different angles from very childish to super serious. Yeah, I think that's the word I would describe myself as a surprise box, something like that.
I love that. It's straight to the point, super simple, and it's a beautiful description, and a beautiful metaphor that you put around that. Really cool. Thanks for sharing. Now I want to talk a little bit more about success and the definition of success for you as a person, or in business, in your career, in anything. How do you define how do you define success? What's your personal definition of success?
I think success, it really depends. For myself, I think it would be something, a life or an action or a behavior where I am happy with, where I feel like I give an added value to something, and the result must be something positive. So this is something like I would say like success in general, not only for business wise, but also for private life, in general.
Thanks for sharing. You jumped onto something where you mentioned happiness. I'm a little bit more curious about that point. So, what would you say? Like, when are you happiest? Like, is there a certain activity that you're doing? Is there a certain state that you're in? Is there certain people you're with? Or when are you happiest?
Okay, I can tell you one thing. I'm every day, most of the time, I'm happy because I'm not one of these persons getting up Monday morning, kind of having a strange face and say like, oh, now I have to go to the office. So happiness for me is something I'm on a almost daily basis. I'm most of the time. And when this comes up, it's first of all, I think it's all inside of your mind because your mind is very, very strong. So if you feel like you're having doing something good, you enjoy what you're doing most of the time. We all do stuff which we like less from time to time. But if we try always to do the best with the situation we are in, I think that gives us a happiness. And you know what? It's a circle. Because if you're happy and if you have success, you attract the good people. And if you attract the good people, you come to interesting stories, to interest people open up to you because they can feel that. So I think it's really a circle for a lot of many different things which come up, which creates this kind of happiness. And again, I wake up Monday morning and I'm most of the time very happy.
I love that, and the way you described it. It reminds me of, I think it's a quote. Yeah, happiness is a choice. I think it has a lot to do with, we can look at happiness as an outcome because something happens, right? Or we can say, well, we choose to be happy. And of course, sometimes it's really difficult, right? In certain situations. But to me, that has a lot
Of course,
to do with this.
Of course. I know a very good book, by the way, which one of my school friends once advised me. It's called Being Happy from Andrew Matheson, I think. It's an Australian writer. And it's a little bit childish, but also very serious from psychological wise. And it shows actually how can you, what I said in the beginning, how can you on a daily basis kind of manipulate your minds, and it creates kind of a circle that you're most of the time happy, but not only happy, but also the other point which you mentioned, success, that you have success at the end, you know.
Thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing that book recommendation as well. Now, I think there's one more really heavy question before we dive a little bit more into the business side of things.
Heavy questions. I love heavy questions. Don't worry.
That's great. So, talking about decisions, what was one of the most difficult decisions that you ever had to make? If you just look back and remember your journey so far, what can you think of?
I think one of a very hard decision which I had to make was I did a course in higher finance, and Daniel, I failed so many times. I mean, like, people knowing me, they would know that it's crazy. I think I have the record of the whole school there that I failed so many times, always because it's a very small percentage. And for me, it was every time, it was very, very hard to decide, should I give up or should I go further? And at the end, I decided, of course, because I have this diploma today, I decided to go further, but it took me so much of my energy to decide each time, like, should I really do it? Because at the end, I didn't have fun anymore. And sometimes I was even not happy in the morning anymore because I knew, like, oh, I have to kind of finish that. But it was a very, very hard decision. Like, should I go one more time and spend another few months on really studying on that or not?
Thanks for sharing. The decision of stopping or giving up in that sense or continuing is one that I think we face very often. In business, when we are entrepreneurs, in education, or in anything, trying to get our kids to do what they should be doing. All
Exactly.
kinds of all kinds of parts. And so I want to talk a little bit more about 21Shares before we dive into some of the industry topics. I was curious about the state of the industry from your perspective today and where we're heading into the future. But maybe can you just give us a little bit of an introduction into 21Shares, just a little bit of a condensed story?
Yeah, with great pleasure. It's one of my passion, actually, our company. So 21Shares is the world's largest issuer of cryptocurrency exchange traded products, so ETPs. And we are one of the pioneers of the world's first crypto exchange traded basket product, which is called HODL, HODL. Some of you, they might have an idea what HODL means. And this was created in 2018 on the Swiss exchange. And since then, we have so many world firsts. And now I think over 40 products in 5 different currencies, in 11 different exchanges, in 7 different currencies. We are listed in Switzerland, Germany, Austria, France, Sweden, Netherlands, and I think Australia. Yes, exactly. And actually, we have 21Shares, which is the brand for the ETPs, but the group is called 21.co, and this is our parent company, 21.co. Which we created to unite our current and future ventures under a common roof. Because, like I said, we have 21Shares for ETP, we have Amoon for our token provider, focused on marketing of the DeFi world, and we have also Onyx, which is a property technological platform used to issue and operate cryptocurrency ETPs for 21Shares and third parties. And by the way, we are not that small anymore. We are over 150 people, and our main office is in Switzerland, in Zurich. And we have also an office in New York City and we have a couple of people, of course, also remote, which cover the whole world.
Thanks for sharing. You know, a little bit of the construct and what you guys are up to. It's, you know, I've come across 21Shares many times over the past, you know, 2 years or so, on my crypto journey and my DeFi crypto, whatever you call it, journey. And it's, you know, it showed up so in so many places. I think I may have even seen you on stage, maybe at the Crypto Valley conference, could be. So yeah, thanks for giving us an introduction. Now I want to talk a little bit more about the state of the industry and where you see, you know, the future going. I know we don't have crystal balls. I know we can't see the future, but I'm still interested in your perspective of, you know, where we are today and where we are heading in the next couple of years. Yeah, I'd love to hear your perspective on that.
Sure. It's a very good question. So I started in 2020. I put not only where we are today, I go a little bit back, and it's even not that much back because it's just 2020. I mean, early stage, there was actually only most of the time, there were only tech people inside, and also, of course, some venture capitalists. And then it swapped a little bit over to the, I would say, like the normal population, because it gets more and more headed everywhere. And at the moment where we are, there are over 20,000 crypto assets. We call them crypto assets, even not currency, because we know that's not only cryptocurrencies. And it's actually funny because I think most of the people at the moment, they know the word crypto assets or cryptocurrencies, whatever they will call them. And it's now used by many different users. I mean, there's so many really cool projects out, and I don't speak only about the Bitcoin, which most of the people know already, but I speak also maybe a little bit, for some of you, a little bit more exotic projects like Polygon, Aave, Ethereum is the second biggest one. Many of you know Ethereum, which is, by the way, not a cryptocurrency, but more like a platform for digital applications. And there are now a lot of different people like investing and being in the space. And I would say like end users, like retail clients, like banks proposing that to, or not proposing, but can offer that already to their clients to make investments, etc. And some of you maybe even might know some metaverse projects or Web3 events or Web3 projects. So it's now at the moment it's a little bit everywhere. And to tell you even at what stage we were a little bit everywhere when the hype was there, because I was once taking a taxi from Nice to Monaco, and even the taxi driver, when he found out that I work into the crypto industry, he spoke the whole trip only about crypto and how this is a great thing, and his children are using it for the gaming thing and whatever. So it got a little bit almost like too much as a hype. And now the stage where we are now at the moment, with everything what happened with FTX or Luna collapse, a little bit less fun parts out of this industry, we actually see that, and we were always at 21Shares completely for that, because we are not like Netflix, so I always call we are more like a blockbuster, and we really want the safe, regulated access to this kind of industry from the crypto assets investments. Is we see that we need more regulation. We see that we need more transparency in the industry. And I think that there were so many projects even before in the industry as a whole that it got a little bit like too wild, I would say, like this, because now we need really the good projects that will survive now. They will be less nonsense doing. I mean, people are more careful now what they really invest, and they choose now. We can see that even at 21Shares, they choose now really more known business partners. So it gets in a kind of a way that it gets more to the daily life, because if we can see, for example, there's a lot of crypto adoption with BNP Mellon, Paxos, MasterCard, Fidelity, JP Morgan testing DeFi, BlackRock also has Bitcoin Trust, etc. So there are many good projects coming out of all of this, you know.
Thanks for sharing. Yeah, it's really interesting to see like 2020 is not that long ago, and it feels like it's a decade at least, right? It's the world is so fundamentally different today than it was like, let's just say January 2020, right? I mean, what happened
Yeah.
over the past almost 3 years now is incredible. On so many levels, in so many ways. And I'm curious to dive into one more part of that a little bit more, like looking a little bit more into the future. What's your sense of what's crypto going to be? Once we, maybe soon or maybe not so soon, are coming into a phase where things are, or like let's say the you know the the projects or the things that maybe shouldn't be or don't create the most value are being washed out, and the real core is only there, and then slowly but steadily, I guess, we're going to get up again into the next phase. What's your sense of what crypto is going to be like, maybe 2 years from now, maybe 5 years from now? I don't know how long it's going to take, of course.
It's a very good point, and we have a research team here at 21Shares, and one of the researchers, when I go with him on some courses and we give a small lecture about crypto or about the whole industry, he told me clearly that, for example, his first app he had on his mobile was a beer app, and he used it like this, and you could see like he's drinking beer, which is completely nonsense, right? Completely. Who is using something like this? Or if we think about NFTs, non-fungible tokens, where we have for the CryptoPunks or for the bored apes, for people knowing that. So it's a lot of really funny projects which were out and which had a lot of success probably at that time. But I think now we're coming in a phase where people kind of use crypto and they're even not aware that they're using crypto. I would say like one of my colleagues, and she's not just next to me at the other office, and she was looking for a new apartment. And in Switzerland, for example, we need kind of a paper or which kind of something which proves that you have enough financial means, and you need like kind of bonitet, like a check for how it's a financial situation, that you don't have any debts or whatever. And she was doing this online, and while she was on that, she saw a small sign in red, which was the Ethereum sign. And she was like, okay, now I'm really working too much. She closed her computer and she went on again. It was like, oh my God, this is really something between something they're using on this platform, on this app. They used really the Ethereum platform, because with this platform, you can see that this document which is issued is not a fake one. So the information there are not fake. So what I want to say with that is like, if she was not working in our company, would work in a completely different sector. She would even not have figured that she's using something from the crypto industry. And I think what's coming with this, that's why I tell you the stories. I think many people, they will use cryptos for something they're using on a daily basis, and they even don't know that they're using cryptos. So I think the future will really be something where there will be so great projects out to our normal world. I would say, like, if it's not a normal, but to our world we are already existing now, I think we will have many really nice projects, and many times used the crypto industry for something which we use and see and organize on a daily basis. Think also about, you want to go at the weekend for a concert or something, ticketing, how can I see that my ticket is not fake? Or something about, sometimes even about, let's say, art or fashion, is this really a Hermes handbag or whatever? Is this really a real one, or is this a fake one? To who does this belong? All these kind of certificates, and which shows who the ownership is, or the proof. This could be used, for example, as crypto. And there might be many, many more use cases, like gaming industry, who is huge. could be art, like I said. It could be ticketing for even for trips if you go on a flight or whatever. I think we will use this more and more, and we even not aware about it. Or we are aware about it, and it's great to use, right?
Yeah, I love that. It's interesting. Of course, the comparison to technology in general, right? I mean, it's like when it comes to the internet, right? Just because I'm online, which I guess I'm always now, right? Doesn't mean I understand all the underlyings of how the internet works and how the technology works. So, I love that.
But
I love that
that's a good
connection.
argument. That's a very good argument. But that's, for example, why in our company, I love it, because we have 8 researchers. And we give so much great research, which is used even worldwide, even on very, very famous magazines or newspapers, because I think that many people, they just hear stuff, they pick up some stuff at the news, or they read something, or they talk amongst each other, and they do not really know. I must admit, I'm not a specialist for the tech side as well, but if you want something which has really something which I can rely, then I go to great researchers, or great how you say that, something which you really can trust what they're really saying, and not just pick up something from the news or some people said whatever, which they have no idea. I don't want to accuse someone here, really not. But sometimes I hear or see some news which I really don't understand where they give this information, where they have this information from. Also, what is always a subject, for example, something which you can surely also admit, is the level of the energy consumption for cryptos. Yes, we know it's an issue. We know mining is taking some energy, whatever. But many people, for example, they even don't realize Ethereum, the second biggest crypto, it has now had to switch the proof of from proof of work to proof of stake, for example, and is now 99.9% less energy consumption, which is huge, right? And this is only one of example also how we go further in this kind of industry to see really what the added value can come out for many different use cases, many different cool projects, or many different business in general. Like I said, daily things.
Absolutely. I love that. Thanks for sharing. So I want to talk a little bit more about digital business now. And then we probably have some questions later from the audience as well we can dive into. But talking about digital business, so if we look at customer experience, how would you define great customer experience? Or what would you define as great customer experience?
That's a very good question. I mean, like the customer experience, our customers are mainly banks, family offices, asset managers, etc. And their great experience for them, because they're investors, of course, of our ETPs or other projects, of course, as well, not only our ETPs. Their great customer experience is most of the time when they see like they made a profit for something they invested. So they're more like maybe sometimes a bit short thinking. But I think like what is a successful or good customer experience might be also that we are in a project which we see has is really something which comes out, which is for everybody. I think like more like something early stage, being with the crowd, but not with the crowd, with the early stage, and this could be very a positive customer experience when you're early stage. And by the way, if I say now early stage, we are still very early stage for the whole crypto industry, because like you said in the beginning, it's existing for a little bit more than 10 years now, which is nothing for the history, right? And I think that there might be many more very great user cases coming out in the next couple of months and years.
Thanks for sharing. Cool. That's great. And now, when it comes to the experience, or like the service that a company is offering, or maybe it's a digital product, that they're offering, what would you say makes or breaks, a digital service or a digital product or a digital experience? What would you say makes or breaks it, basically?
I mean, like for the project itself, it might be for sure that you have a great team, that you are very professional, that you're doing something which is legal, I would say, because I think still like that's what the reason why we, for example, our co-founders Henny Rashwan and Ophelia Schneider founded our company in 2018. It's also that something maybe user which has an added value for the user, although we always have to watch out because, for example, I don't know how you are. I'm not from the generation where I had the iPhone right away when I was young. I had even no idea I need a mobile. Sometimes some companies can even be ahead for success, like they create something which today is not a need, but in the future there might be a very high need. So this could also be a factor which is very important for success in general, you know. And otherwise, sometimes it's also to be at the good moment at the right space with the good people around it, which can also create a positive outcome at the end. I'm not
Thanks for
sure if I
sharing.
answered to your question, Daniel.
No, I think it's fine, and everybody has their own twist or their own perspective to it, which I love. I love the different perspectives on these questions. And just something I just saw in the comments is a question from one of the viewers. So I'm curious to hear your perspective on that. The person is asking, what challenges have you faced building that trust as a crypto leader, and what helped you most to overcome those hurdles?
So what helped us the most is that the whole setup from the company, I think when Henny and Ophelia created this company, what helped them really a lot is, first of all, they had a great plan. They were sticking on the plan. They were thinking out of the box imagination, but still in something like people, the user friendly wise, like something easy, something regulated, something which you can, which you can use very easily with your existing account, because with us, you don't have to send your money somewhere. So I think what also helped a lot is the trust from the people, because I give you a concrete example. In 2021, I think it was in February, March, I can't remember. We did a stock split for our ETPs. And we were preparing for this corporate action. And for every, I think it was the Bitcoin ETP, which we had, you get like 9 to 1. So if you invested in 1 million, for example, you would have like much more units that you get the same thing, right? And what happened actually at the banks at that time, they reduced the price because of the whole system, which gave them a new price, but they were not ready yet for increasing the units. So people literally thought the Monday morning when we got up with so many messages that they lost 90% of their assets. And we contacted every single person personally, by phone, by WhatsApp, by email, whatever, and explained to them the situation and sent them the information what happened. And I think that created a lot of trust for the investors, because they saw, well, first of all, they understand where I'm coming from. They answer to me right away. They're super trustfully. They come to me, so I feel like really, in good hands. And they could see our professionalism behind that and our active approach to helping them, which they really, really liked. So I think the customer experience, which was really positive, was that we acted fast. They have something, we assured them, we showed them also our setup, because we have a due diligence questionnaire for our setup. When people do their studies behind to check if we are trustworthy or not, they can see that there is really, there are funds behind, there are great people behind, there are great investors behind. Hey, we are here in Switzerland. I don't want to say it's the best country, because I come from Switzerland, of course, but it's serious. We have the people are known here. The people, you can approach us anytime. It's not just something like you invest the money, send it somewhere, and you have no idea what's going on after. We are we have a background from tech people, and we have a good mix also financial people. And this gives a very, very great mix about the know-how, right? So I would say, like, it's a combination. Yeah. It's a combination of many, many different things, I would say.
You know, I love what you shared, and I think it's a combination of, you know, when it comes to customer experience, but also building trust, obviously. You know, that personal touch, right? That personal approach that, you know, it's not about building something that just works for everyone, but it's, you know, it has this personal touch, you know, as you just, you know, described of how you reacted to that. And what I find interesting is as well, when it comes to customer experience or, you know, anything to do with trust, that usually is not defined in the great moments, but, you know, in the worst moments. And it's defined of how you react there, right? And not, you know, when things are going well, because that's easy, right? Everybody can do that. But I think what's really separates from the great ones from, you know, the rest is you know, how you react in those catastrophic moments. And yeah.
That's a very, very good point, Daniel. We saw this, for example, when we had this FTX collapse now. And we came to the office, even already out of the office, we were chatting to each other. And we were putting something together with the research team together. I think we were talking at 9 o'clock in the morning, the whole worldwide team. And in the afternoon, I can't remember, I think it was 3 o'clock, we already had an online session where 200 people attended, where we told them what's going on. Because I think, you know-how is key. Knowledge is key. You need to inform the people what's going on, because the unknown makes them really afraid. You know, they need to have the right to see, like, what is going on in the market, why does this matters, what can be the best, middle, or worst outcome of all this situation, that they can have this scenario, which we showed them the little bit, you know, for the domino system which this effect had. And it's exactly what you said. Now it's time to be close to your people, and not only because we kind of create this trust because of business. It's just like it's important, like you said, to be in the good and less good times with the people around you, because, like you said, in the easy times it's always easy, you know. But now with the little bit tougher time, we will see who is really here for their customers, or for the people, for the network around. Not only customers, it could also be the network or the future clients, maybe, you know.
Absolutely. And, you know, one more thing before we dive into the last question I have is, like, one of the things I just picked up on what you said is speed, because in today's, especially in the world of crypto, right? But in the world in general, and then especially in the world of crypto, I mean, things are changing so fast. I mean, and maybe FTX is a good example of how insane, like how fast things can happen and just evaporate into thin air. Luna was another example, right? FTX is another example. There are more than that, of course, but I think that speed, you know, being with the people in terms of, like, being, like, personal, you know, clear, personal. And the other thing is just, like, you know, it's not about preparing a press release that goes out next month, right? It's about, like, being there right now and understanding that everybody is confused and everybody is, you know, is afraid and they don't know what's going to happen. And, you know, there's so much stuff happening behind the scenes, stuff that, you know, yesterday everybody thought, you know, somebody is the king of crypto and today he's the devil of crypto, right? And that's, you know, 24 hours or something like that, which is insane, right, in that world. So I think speed is another key, which is what I, you know, picked up from what you said. So diving into the last question I have, which is something I always love to ask, and it's ways out there in the future, but let's imagine you're 80 years old now, and you're sitting in your rocking chair, and you're looking back at your life, and you look back at the world and how things have developed and how things have changed. In that moment, looking back at that time that has passed, what is something that you would love to see changed?
That's a tough question, because I can't imagine myself with 80 years old and being in the rocking chair. I think I would still be jogging like I do today, to be very honest. Probably, because crypto is never sleeping, so nor is Sina. But It's very hard to say what I would like to have changed, because to be very honest with you, I like every moment. Like I said in the beginning of my thing, and it is really true. I like every moment when of this life. I love life. And I think there are many challenges which you tackle step by step on a daily basis. So it's sometimes the hard points when you would like to have them changed are the ones who have the most outcome after, what you are the most proud of. And that's why I'm not sure if I wanted to change anything. I mean, maybe I would, for the whole world, I would love that. But this is something like maybe a little bit too childish to think, because life is sometimes a struggle, right? It's not always on a daily basis super fun. But maybe it would be nice that for certain conflicts in life, you know, with between countries or whatever, that people would listen more to each other, try to understand better the situation. Stuff like this maybe could be something which I would have liked to be different. But then at the same time, again, I mean, we saw this in history from other cycles of life, you know, from the history between countries and whatever, that it has already existed since human being existed. So I don't know what the learning point is out of this, you know, because I think sometimes a little bit like positive thinking, maybe a little bit naive would call me some people, but I think sometimes it's always coming out something positive out of every struggle. And of course, I say this now, and I'm sorry for people who suffer about something, who are maybe having people surrounded by them who died in a war or something like this. And surely this is very hard, and I do really sorry for those kind of people. Really, it's my empathy for these people. But I think sometimes in life we go to really tough cycles, like I said. And myself, I don't want to regret anything in my life.
You know, I love that. It reminds me of, I don't know if you know Seth Godin, but it reminds me of when somebody asked him, like, what advice would you give to your 20-year-old self about what it would change? And he said, well, honestly, I wouldn't change a thing, because every tough challenge, every tough meeting, every time we almost ran out of money, and every one of these situations was a defining moment that shaped me who I am today. And just reminded me of that. And I think it goes hand in hand. Hey, Sina, thank you so much for being on the show. It's really nice. I'm also very happy we jumped into a question from the audience. And thank you so much for sharing and being so transparent and open, and being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. And as a last thing, I would say, like, either you win or you learn for everything what you do, about whole success or what you said, tough moments, whatever. I think it's a positive outcome of, or a positive end world, what I can say in general like that. But thank you so much for having me, and I hope people enjoyed listening to it. It was a very honest interview. We did not prepare a single thing, at least not from my side.
Thank you, Sina. See you soon.
Thank you. See you soon. Bye-bye.